today. Don't look for what you love what you find. I heard a story once about a woman who was dying of cancer, and her daughter was at her bedside, and she said, "Mom, don't worry. In heaven, everyone you love will be there." And the woman said, "No, in heaven, I will love everyone I find there." There's a difference. There's a difference. Love what you find. In fact, that's about one of the best definitions of heaven I've ever heard. Heaven is loving everybody here. Why would you wait for heaven if you could actually have it today, January 13th, here at Boyle Industries? Love everyone you find here. That's hard, though, because people are on kind of different levels of lovability, you know. I love her, him, and him. I don't talk to him, her. He bugs. She's really negative. He's a berrinche. He's always bumming cigarettes off of me. Every time I go to lunch with him, I pay every time I go to lunch with him. And it's tough, you know, because people aren't equally lovable. Oh well. But heaven is loving everybody you find. Remember years ago when I taught at Loyola High School and I was living there, at the Jesuits we had a big building that we lived in. And I remember one Sunday morning I was contento, feliz, had my cup of coffee in the Sunday LA Times, sitting in this big easy chair reading the Sunday paper. And in the easy chair next to me is Al Nauki, a great friend and Jesuit and who lived in that community. He's on my board. And as we're both reading the paper in silence, all of a sudden the doorbell starts to ring incessantly, you know. And in those days, homeless men would come to the door asking for money and food, and we're both looking at each other, who's going to get up? And because he's more generous than I am, he goes, "I'll go." So he leaves. 15 minutes later, he's back sitting down, and he's reading his paper. He doesn't say anything. I said, "Well, who was it?" And he doesn't look up from his paper, and he says, "Jesus." In his least recognizable form. Well, that's sort of the way it is, you know. Jesus in his least recognizable form. You love who you find. You go where love has not yet arrived. And you just love without regard for return. That's what heaven is. That's the definition of heaven. To love without regard for return. I remember I sent a homie to Silk Spring, Carlos, a knucklehead, tattooed, been to prison. Did his share of stuff. He was tired of being tired. He came to Homeboy and he started work over there. And I called him the next day. I said, "Hey, how was your first day at work?" "Oh, it was proper. You didn't tell me Gabriel was here." And Gabriel was an enemy, a rival. Ooh, his worst enemy. He didn't know it. And he said, "I've known him all my life." I walked up to him and I extended my hand, to shake it, and he wouldn't shake it. All he'd do was he said, all he'd do is growl at me. And I go, hell, I thought to myself, I growed up with this guy. I know him all my life. I knew him when he was a bedwetter, he says to me. And I thought to myself, I don't care. I'm just going to love him. Works for me. You can make heaven happen here by not looking for what you love, but loving what you find, and to go where love has not yet arrived, and to just love without regard for return. Why would you wait for heaven if you can have it today? Because heaven is loving who's here.